Hello and welcome to Vision IS. Today we are here with Saloni Verma, All India Rank 70 UPSC 2020. Saloni, welcome to Vision IS.
Thank you, Jasmine, for having me.
First of all, many congratulations for this glorious result you've achieved.
Thank you.
Let's start talking about your journey, right from your early years, your schooling, and how Saloni's journey started.
I was born in Jamshedpur, but I was barely a month old and we moved to Delhi. Papa works here, and I've spent all my life in Delhi only. Haven't seen much of India, but it's fine. Now I suppose I will. And completed my schooling from Convent of Jesus and Mary, New Delhi, with the science stream. Made a shift in college, moved to the humanities. I did my bachelor's in English literature from Hindu College, which is in DU. That got done in 2019, and after that I dived right into preparation. Yeah.
Okay, so in your class 12th, you had physics, chemistry, biology, and you did really well. You had 95% marks in your CBSE boards. So after that, it is kind of expected, that you go into a graduation in science because you were doing well.
Absolutely.
What made that shift?
This was the problem. The fact that I was doing so well in science, even in class 10 and 12, made it so difficult for me to finally. There is a little bit of a peer pressure and just pressure to continue with science if you're so called a bright student. But I was never really interested in it in terms of making it a career. And thankfully, my parents understood that, and I was able to convince myself. So I did make that switch because in 11th and 12th, I used to start debating a lot. I would start reading the newspaper, and I was much more interested in making a career in something which is very directly related to what's happening around me. So that's why I made the switch, thinking journalism, law, civil services. I will decide later, but yeah, that's why I made the switch.
Okay, so you went to actually one of the finest college in Delhi University. So that I think would have further given you a chance to explore these aspects,
Absolutely.
right? Like you said, debating or things like that.
Mhm.
So in college, what kind of activities were you involved in?
Unfortunately, and I don't recommend this to anyone, I wasn't very interested in the academic part of college. I barely scraped through, should have perhaps paid a lot more attention. I was more interested in extracurriculars. So I used to debate very extensively, other public speaking activities. There were seminars happening, a lot more, let's say, student related activities, a little bit of dramatics. So these were the kind of things I was more interested in. Yeah.
And do you think all of that has actually added to your personality, right? With the kind of confidence which you allure, which I can, sense talking to you just in this first few minutes. Um, if I relate it to the exam, I would like to relate it to the personality test stage, right? So you have done well, you have 200 plus marks in that. So do you think somewhere it began from that stage?
Absolutely, and it wasn't the intention, because some people also ask me that should we start extracurriculars because it will help in the personality test. I don't think that's how it works, but yes, if you do an activity and let's say you do it with passion, it adds so much to who you are. In this case, debate is very directly related to communication. But ma'am, I think it's also to do with the fact that you just learn to feel that okay, you can do something if you put your heart to it. The fact that you can talk to people, make bonds, I think those things also help psychologically feel better. So yes, and definitely in the personality test directly, I'm very grateful that it helped, and yeah, I would say there was some correlation. Yes.
Okay. So when did you start finally thinking about UPSC? That, okay, I have to do this preparation. Like you said that I joined graduation with multiple options open.
Yeah.
So when did it just narrow down to UPSC Civil Services preparation?
Final year, July 2018, when my third year was commencing. That is when I decided that okay, this is what I want to do. Yeah.
Okay. And what was the motivation behind that? Was it something in your family that was happening, or were you seeing people around you? Your father is a government servant, right? So what helped you make that choice?
Ma'am, I would say it's a mix of all of the things you mentioned and a little more. I was very fortunate to grow up in a surrounding and in a locality where I would see a lot of civil servants, and I had the absolute pleasure to interact with some of them. And I realized it's a great profession, both from a personal aspect, but more interestingly, I think from what you can do, the kind of responsibility it gives you to work across departments, across laterals, and then give your significant contribution to it while also contributing to the systems that are functioning. I found that very fascinating, very tuned to what I would like in my life. So, a mix of these things. Obviously, I also knew my parents would be really proud of me if I was able to do well. That was also a very strong motivating factor, as they call it. So, yeah, a mix of these things.
And I'm sure they are very proud, right? Flaunting to everybody about their daughter now.
I tell them not to flaunt, but yeah.
I'm sure that would be very hard on them. Okay. So once you've made this choice, the most striking aspect of your preparation is that it has been your own preparation. You've done it alone without any kind of coaching in that sense. You did take test series, but otherwise you did all the reading and all the studying on your own self. So how did you go about that? Like, there is so much information around you for doing all these things. So how does one start? How does one go about it?
I'm glad you asked me that question, because before I directly answer it, I would like to say one thing, that whether or not you take coaching or not should depend entirely on your assessment of where you stand. I think the goal is to clear the examination. Whether you need coaching for that, whether you not, I don't think so. These days, there is also glorification of self-study, no coaching, IS, all of that. So I think it, one should not take anything for the sake of it, and I think assessment is important. But coming to that myself, why I firstly took the decision of self-study, I think I was very privileged because I had a lot of very important friends in my life. So for a lot of subjects in which I didn't have a background in, for example, economics, I was petrified of that. But my bestest friend is one of our college toppers in eco. So I knew that I don't really need a teacher per se to teach me. If I have doubts, I can go to him. Similarly with political science, with other subjects. So I think the decision to not take coaching was also based on this, the fact that I had so much support. Coming to how I began with it, lot of research. I spent almost a month watching all such videos that there are on the internet, studying the syllabus of UPSC, talking to people who have succeeded, but also people who perhaps could not succeed entirely, people who could reach the interview stage in multiple attempts, trying to figure out what really is needed, and also a lot of research into myself. I know that sounds very cliche, but understanding, okay, this is my strength and this is my weakness, this is my potential, here's where I can go. So I spent a good 1 month just chalking out a plan for myself, which is why I think I was able to manage without any formal coaching. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe not formal coaching, but you did have some assistance. Like that was a chalked out plan that, okay, I
Absolutely.
have some friends, somebody can help me with economics, somebody will help me with
Absolutely.
political science, right? So, yes, so that is a very good point, that you need to know where you stand and what are the resources that are available to you,
Absolutely.
right? And then you make that choice that, okay, if I have some options, I can utilize them, or I can take a professional help.
Absolutely.
I should know where I am and how I need to do this, right?
Absolutely.
That's actually a very smart way to go about it. And I think assessment is something which you will need to continuously do, right?
Ji.
So you gave your first attempt right after college, right? So was there any preparation, or was it like just ki chalo dekhte hain exam kaise hai?
I would say it was more of a blunder in this. I mean, now thankfully I don't have too many regrets over it. But the thing was that I had watched a lot of videos of people who had cleared it right after college. And that's another, kick or a little bit of a thrill to do it right after college. So I started with that intention. And in my final year, for 2 months, I genuinely did study dedicatedly. In those months, I covered history and polity, Spectrum and Lakshmikant. But it wasn't enough. Obviously, these two subjects are not going to take you through to prelims. So I failed magnanimously in my first attempt at prelims. So yeah, I think it was mostly an unprepared attempt, but yes, the intention was there to do well in it. Yeah.
Okay. So after that, you have 1 year of your own preparation. How do you think does one keep oneself motivated, right? Now you are all on your own, right? So there must have been a very strong role of some form of self-discipline which you learned or which was there. That's how you got there and you are in a 2-digit rank. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, in the phase that I had spent researching about this examination, one thing which rang uniform through all testimonies was that you really need to be disciplined and consistent. So, more than motivation or why I'm doing this exam or what is it that drives me, all of that, because those are to me a little more abstract, I would just tell myself that, okay, I'm sacrificing 1 year of my life. It's a huge opportunity cost. Might as well give my 100% so that I don't have regrets. I would just keep telling myself that. Coming to, so how that would manifest tangibly is that I had a timetable. I've spoken about this. I used Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, whatever you like. And since I joined a mains test series right in the beginning of the year, so if there is a test on the 10th day of the month, let's say 10th of July, I would write, okay, 10 July test, and then 1st to 9 July, I would study for that test. And for example, if on the 3rd of July I'm unable to study, I would fill that cell with red, write the reason why I'm not studying. On the days I studied, fill it with green. And on the days I studied really well, I would also write that, okay, studied very well, well done, Saloni. Like, it was just, I think it was a slightly lonely way of perhaps keeping myself going, but it helped because I wasn't very dependent on anyone else to keep me going. And obviously, I was very fortunate, very supportive family, my younger brother, my absolute darlings of friends, and very fortunate that way. So I think a mix of these things helped me going.
Talking about your timetable, I guess having some tests, like you said, to mark, they gave you milestones.
Yeah.
Right? And we all need to, sometimes the preparation becomes very vague when people start studying multiple subjects, कि अच्छा पॉलिटी भी शुरू कर लिया, हिस्ट्री भी शुरू कर लिया, and the point is उसका integration हो नहीं पाता, right? So in some forms everybody would need to have some milestones, right? जैसे maybe आप were you also doing hourly or daily time schedules? Okay, so how was that?
So इसी अगर उदाहरण से बात करूँ तो मान लीजिए 10 तारीख को पॉलिटी का टेस्ट है 3-4 चैप्टर्स का. तो जैसे पहली और दूसरी तारीख को मैंने 2 चैप्टर कर लिए, तीसरी चौथी तारीख को दूसरे, और फिर रिविजन. सो ये डेली टारगेट्स हो गए, दिन में क्या करना है. एंड आर्ली टारगेट्स नहीं होते थे, बट ये था कि ये आज खत्म करना है. अब 6 घंटे लगे या 12 घंटे लगे, वो इतना फर्क नहीं पड़ता. एंड उसमें क्योंकि करंट अफेयर्स भी करना होता था, आई वुड डू करंट अफेयर्स एवरी डे. So my day would just look like, okay, target plus current affairs. So target might take 6, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever. Current affairs 2 hours. So it was like that. That was the breakup.
Okay. So yes, actually, smaller breakup is also important. Like a test can have an extensive syllabus, and if you start with polity, so maybe you can keep reading fundamental rights chapter for 10 days, right? It's unending. So yes, so usko break down karke you'll have like a more real time idea कि हाँ कितना हो गया and how much is left, right? So that I think is something which a lot of people can use and take from you. Okay, now let's start going into the different subjects which we are supposed to be preparing. First of all, let's talk about your optional. Now, optional again is a new subject for you.
Yeah.
So you have English Literature Honours and you take PSIR, right? So what was the reason for choosing political science optional?
Multiple reasons. The most real one was that because I had not paid too much attention in college to English literature, I knew that if I choose literature, मेरे को शुरू से ही पढ़ना पड़ेगा. So it wasn't as if I had an extra edge in my graduation subject. That was number one. So फिर मैंने सोचा कोई नया सब्जेक्ट लेते जो मुझे थोड़ा और इंटरेस्टिंग लगे, जो एग्जाम के लिए ज़्यादा डायरेक्टली रेलिवेंट हो. तो PSIR seemed interesting. I had studied it for 1 semester in college as a generic elective. तो वो अच्छा भी लगता था. I had a couple of friends who were doing pol science honors in college. So I knew that if I have doubts, they can help me as well. Great overlap it has with almost every paper. So yeah, these were the few reasons I chose PSIR.
So again, some level of assessment, I think maybe it will be needed. That because this is a very, very common concern, the choice of optional, and it is a very significant one also because this is where you score marks.
Yes.
Right? So first of all, see how well you are doing in your graduation subject, right? And how much effort will it take to start a new one. For preparing your PSIR, your optional subject, how much time did it take to complete that subject?
October to December 3. Around 5 months.
Around 5 months. Okay.
5 also because we got lucky. Absolutely unfortunate the COVID disaster, but prelims got shifted by 4 months. So then 2 months I could squeeze in more. So 3 plus 2, 5 months. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So let's start with this time period before prelims,
Sure.
right? So how was the division there between prelims and mains
Sure.
and optional, if that was fitting in somewhere?
Right. So when I began preparing in June 2019, prelims was supposed to happen next year in June 2020. So 1 year का पूरा cycle था. तो जून से दिसंबर मैंने सोचा था मेंस होगा और जनवरी से जून प्रीलिम्स. दैट वाज द ब्रॉडर मैक्रो फ्रेमवर्क. अब उसके अंदर भी जून से दिसंबर जीएस तो है ही, एंड अक्टूबर टू दिसंबर आई एडेड पीएसआर एज एन एलिमेंट. माय ऑप्शनल केम इन. And June to December for GS again was, for example, I started with GS2. So June, July was mostly GS2, IR and polity. Then GS3 because it's very lengthy, and then GS1. GS4 I did lastly in December for a month, and then साथ में optional when it came in. It was a little difficult to manage, but that's how it went. January onwards, absolutely full throttle for prelims. Did one test every day. So I ended up doing around some 90-100 prelims mock tests. And then when prelims got shifted to October, then I went back to studying for mains in that gap. So this was the rough breakup.
Okay. So you started with mains and
Yeah.
then you said I'll fully go into the prelims mode. And for that also you gave a very long, sufficient
Ji.
amount of time, right? In terms of sources, I want to ask you, particularly for mains first I'll ask, because for prelims, a lot of subjects like, you said you studied Lakshmikant and the history book Spectrum initially for your first
Ji.
attempt, right? So it's easier to, track down the sources
Ji.
in that sense. But mains में वैसा नहीं है,
Right.
right? Subjects हैं, बहुत छोटे छोटे portions हैं, like you have something like disaster management, a small topic, you have world history. So
Right.
things are not very concise in terms of the content which is available. So how were you going about your sources there?
Should I go paper by paper?
Yeah, please
Right.
go ahead.
For GS1, history, modern history spectrum, must have read it 10, 12, 15 times. It was real, like that's the main source. But also for class 11 and 12 NCRT, did one reading of it and made some notes, whatever I thought spectrum lacked. For ancient medieval history, again NCRT, 11th and 12th, that's it. Art and culture, Nitin Singh Hania. Although I don't think it was very helpful in terms of what they call the cost benefit ratio, but I really liked that book, so I stuck to Nitin Singh Hania. For Indian society, Vision IS's mains 365, the module which comes. I had done last year's also, so that I have a broader overview, but perhaps 1 year suffices. Geography, there is a website called pmfis.com. That's the one I relied on. I think GS1, that is pretty much it. GS2 polity, Lakshmikant, nothing more, nothing less. IR mains 365 and newspaper editorials, etc. The governance topics, etc. I did a lot of Google search, like extensively for PDS, SHGs, all of that. Google search was my go-to. And also Vision has means value-added material.
Yes.
That I think covered all these small topics in all papers very, very well. So especially now in GS3, agriculture, internal security and disaster management was from the value-added material, and general current affairs, of course. Eco, I went into an overdrive, will not suggest this to everyone because it was a weak area for me. So for that I did Ramesh Singh, I watched some YouTube videos by Mrinal sir, and the normal current affairs, etc. But this is a little excess, I've been told, but okay. Eco and what else in GS3? I think I'm forgetting.
Science
and technology, yes. So again, perhaps would not recommend, but I only stuck to mains 365. Also because I'd done science till class 12, so I was a little more comfortable in it and I did not feel the need to do too much. So current affairs, that's it. Ethics, I genuinely enjoyed the paper, so I think that's why I did too much for that. There is one book by Mr. Mudit Jain, that. Then Vision IS's value-added material for ethics. And I think one more, some other material I must have picked up while in Old Rajinder Nagar. I'm forgetting which institute, but something. So ethics also, I think I did a little bit too much, but that's only because I enjoyed it. It's not necessary, perhaps. That's pretty much it for GS, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. So you have sources, and you also, for some of these things, you need some sources over the internet, right?
Mhm.
So the important question here is, how does one make that choice? Because there is so much material, so much content is available. So when you have to go and choose, ki, acha, where should I read it from, right? Or the things which you've already tracked down,
Right.
how is one supposed to make that choice?
Okay. Firstly, for me, ma'am, it was the fact that when I spent a month researching the exam, everyone said that there is an endless ocean of information which awaits, and if you get sucked in, it's like the Bermuda Triangle. You will never come out. That's what they say. So since I heard so many people say it, I was convinced that I will not go too deep into a subject which, for example, history, polity, सब यही कर रहे हैं, यही करना है. But where to draw the line in subjects like eco, in agriculture, where there is no one book, depends, frankly, in my opinion, on where you stand. So for eco, since when I would give the mocks, I wouldn't score very well. So I realized, okay, perhaps I need a little bit more of a push than perhaps an average aspirant would. Similarly with agriculture, because I started writing mains tests right from the beginning, so when GS3 tests came, I realized my answers in agriculture aren't very good. They're not scoring well. So I think just giving tests makes you realize which subjects you need a little more backing for, and perhaps that might help.
Okay, so you can start with like one basic source. You can choose, obviously, the kind of research which you did that could be helpful. Because yes, you are right. When people suggest, mostly you will find that the same topic, same suggestions are coming. And then you check wherever you think you need more input, then you can extend your sources, as you say. I think test series also in that sense give you new content which directly can be added, right?
Yeah.
So you said you started writing tests very early on for mains, right, with your preparation. So how many tests or how many mock tests do you think you wrote overall for mains?
Right.
Yeah.
From June to December 2019, must have written 10 to 12 tests easily from mains perspective. And then after prelims, another 12 to 14 tests. So cumulatively around 24, 25 tests. Yeah.
Tests. Okay. So you were preparing for a particular test, and then after you wrote the test, what were the steps that were there?
So I would firstly wait for the test to get evaluated. I was lucky that the tests would get evaluated on time. I did not have too much of an issue. So 4-5 days, and then I would spend at least 2-3 hours figuring out, okay, why I have been marked less. I would really trouble the mentors. I would raise tickets, be like, okay, talk to me, tell me why I've been scoring less, etc. And one thing I also did was that in my Excel sheet only, I had a tab for tests. So I would write that, okay, test number 1, polity, date, and I would only write the things I did badly at, so that when I'm studying polity again and when I'm re-attempting a polity test, I would see, okay, here's what I lacked, and I would consciously try not to do that again. So that was one. And second, obviously, the answers which tests had, I would make notes out of that after the test got evaluated. So,
okay. So where were these notes going? Were they going to the original source from where you had studied, or did you prepare like a separate source, or were you doing this online?
So for topics which allowed me to scribble on the books, I would prefer that. I wasn't a very note-making person. But yes, many topics like agriculture, eco, there wasn't one book. So I was usually resorting to making some Word document, scribbling somewhere, Evernote, etc. So I think a mix of both, online and offline for me. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about current affairs now. This is a very important part of the preparation, and I think a very major portion of the kind of questions which are asked, right? So for current affairs, let's first start with the newspaper. Were you reading any newspaper? If yes, which one?
Yeah, I read a newspaper every day very religiously. I read the Hindu till mains. After mains, 2-3 more newspapers were added to the arsenal. And I would read it daily, and I had 1.5 hours designated daily for current affairs. So how I would go about it was that I would first open any current affairs website which does daily current affairs. So first I would read the current affairs that they have enlisted, make notes out of that. That would take me around 45 minutes. And then I would open the newspaper.
Okay.
So the articles which that website had already covered, I would skip them in the newspaper entirely. And I would only read in the newspaper what they've missed. So this really helped me finish the newspaper a lot quicker. Perhaps it's a lazy way of doing things, but it worked well for me. So yeah, that's how I did current affairs. And then at the end of the month, a monthly current affairs magazine, I would ensure that I haven't missed anything from that also. So daily and monthly, that's how it went.
Okay. So when you were reading the newspaper, were you making any notes from that also? Were you adding that also somewhere?
Absolutely. So if that website has missed something, then in the newspaper, then I would ensure that I make my own notes out of the newspaper and add it. Yeah.
So now newspaper is a very extensive thing, right? And you have said that the designated time is 1.5 hours.
जी.
Particularly for people who are new to reading newspapers, if you can just tell them a little bit onto which areas they need to focus more, or how to look out and to reduce or bring that time to 1.5 hours.
No, I'm glad you said focused more, because
Yeah.
technically you can't not focus on anything.
Okay.
This year in prelims, I mean, we would tell people you can skip the sports section, but there were
Yes.
questions on that too. So one doesn't really know what to skip, but yes, focus more. I think policy related news, so a lot of schemes are usually in news, a lot of issues are in news. I would avoid reading about the day-to-day political tussles or other nitty-gritty of work. I don't think that's very relevant for the examination. But yes, even in that, this can come with after a particular point of time. You can use some of them for examples in ethics that can perhaps enrich your answers. International affairs, I would say it's a little bit of a trap, because initially I would read each and every day, okay, this person is coming and he's coming with this agenda and now she's pursuing XYZ. So again, I think topics have to be focused on instead of the event at large. So perhaps that could be one
Okay.
way. Yeah.
And yes, I think some continuity with reading the newspaper also will make it easier
Absolutely.
in terms of time and in
100%.
terms of selection.
100%.
Because you can always go back to the monthly magazine to
Yes.
correlate.
Yes.
Ki, acha, this was the newspaper I have already read last month and these are the news items they have picked. So आगे से मुझे भी इस पे
जी.
like ज़्यादा focus करने की ज़रूरत है. Okay. As you said, spoke about prelims and questions like sports being asked. So prelims is becoming more and more uncertain with
जी.
time and the cutoff also in that sense, right? We had 92 marks last
जी.
year. So in terms of prelims preparation, what are the important things which need to be kept in mind?
Okay, so I'm no expert. I did not do very, very well in my prelims, but from my very limited experience, I would say that solving a lot of tests helps you develop some form of intuition. And obviously, I think with as any exam, even this exam has some element of chance involved. So you can never be 100% sure that okay, आपका हो ही जाएगा prelims. And prelims, in my opinion, is the most unpredictable. So there is no foolproof way. But I would say solving a lot of tests, making notes out of those tests, and routinely tracking where you're going wrong. So whenever I would do prelims tests, I would see that there's a pattern. I make mistakes in questions where the statements are very long because I overread into those statements, and then I like they're supposed to be read very simply on the face value. You don't need to overanalyze, and I would do that very often. So just perhaps being very conscious of where you're going wrong, trap statements, tricky statements, and I think solving a lot of tests, perhaps that. And yes, one more thing. I think with prelims, now that it's getting more and more tricky, it's, I think, slightly tempting to now run after new material, chase this, chase that. In my very limited and humble opinion, I don't think that's very prudent, because UPSC will still ask at least 30 questions which are low-hanging fruits, right? Which everyone should know. So I think focusing on core books, revising so that you don't get those 30 wrong, and then trusting perhaps one or two institutions' current affairs, I think that should be enough. It's a relative examination and you just need to cross the cutoff and that should work. Yeah.
Okay. So when you were doing your test, right? How many mock tests did you write
for prelims? 80 to 90. Easily.
80 to 90 tests. Okay. So after that, in terms of assessment, you said that you were focusing on where you are getting trapped, and how were you judging the score which you were getting?
Yeah. Again, I think this is a double-edged sword. So on one hand, I would not take my score very seriously. For example, if I was scoring in the 80s or 90s, it's very low. But on one hand, I would be like, ठीक है, ये mock है, इतना serious नहीं है. But also you can't absolutely dismiss it, because if you study for a mock and if you're scoring really low, for example, I remember there was this one test on ancient and medieval history where I scored in the 60s. And that's when I got a wake-up call that, okay, clearly I'm not doing something correct. So I think it's a fine balance. You do not take it too seriously in the sense that if you're scoring 120s and 130s, it does not mean that one becomes complacent, but also the fact that you take it seriously enough to push yourself in areas where you need improvement. I think that is how I would go about it.
Plus, the idea is that with sectional tests, the assessment is not very real also.
True.
In the sense, like, ancient and medieval history, like you've spoken about that. So maybe you'll have 3 questions, 4 questions at the max,
Absolutely.
right? So, but yes, if maybe there's a subject as basic as polity, right? So there you would need at least 100+ score, right? But in full length tests, I think still there is a better chance of
Right.
assessment, of
Right.
knowing that, okay, you know, where you are.
Right, ma'am.
Okay, so this is mains, prelims. One part in mains which we left was your essay preparation, right? Again, that doesn't fit into any conventional bracket. So, how was that preparation for you?
For essay, I wrote my first essay when prelims got postponed, so around March or April of 2020. And I thought, okay, let's finally do something about this paper. And the first essay I wrote, the feedback I got was that you have wonderful ideas, you like structure. So I think essay beyond the basic structure, which is short paragraphs and introduction, body, conclusion, beyond that very basic structure, I don't think there is any one formula. The speckly technique, writing poems, quotations, I mean, sure, they are perhaps desirable, but I did not really do too much of that. I realized my strength is just ideas and being creative and sticking to what I think is the core of the topic. So I didn't do any special preparation, and I did not collect quotations, stats, etc. Whatever was the GS knowledge, that was more than enough. And I mean, whatever movies or books I was reading, etc., I would just put that knowledge and hope for the best. So I think in essay the trick is to just be true to the topic. Like it's very tempting sometimes, the topics are so random that we can just drift astray from the topic. So I think that takes practice. I wrote around 8 to 9 essays before mains, so a lot of practice was done. Yeah.
Actually, this is a very good point, because essay topics are very long sentences
Ji.
most of the times. So sometimes, you know, like if it's talking about development and destruction, there are
Right.
two parts. So it's very easy to, you know, just start writing about development,
Right.
or just start writing about
Right.
destruction. But that link of, you know,
Ji.
having both the sides, that will definitely
Yes,
need
ma'am.
practice. Okay. So when you chose these 8 to 10 essays which you wrote, so did you like specifically choose that, okay, I am going to have different topics? Were they on like variable ki acha kuch philosophical likhna hai, science pe likhna hai, women pe likhna hai? Did you like categorize them in that sense?
I tried to ensure I'm writing at least one essay on one of the more broad topics. So philosophical, I wrote 2 essays, women 1, science and tech I wrote specially because I knew मैंने इतना उसमें मेहनत नहीं की है, तो एक लिख के देखते हैं कैसा, मतलब if I have to. So I consciously chose topics, yes. And I also experimented a bit, like with seeing some people say, okay, subheadings डाल के लिखते हैं. So I tried all of that to see कि चलिए कम से कम एग्जाम में मैं पहली बार ना करूँ ये सब. So I thought I should perhaps try all of this. And then I found my own style, as they call it, and I stuck to that. Yeah.
Okay, in terms of writing style only, I would like to bring in the optional writing now. Now, there is a pattern in which you write GS and essay also. Like you said, there's a basic pattern of introduction, conclusion, body. So that will be relevant for your optional subject also. But what is different in terms of the approach?
I can talk about my optional, and
Yes.
disclaimer, I'm not an expert in PSR anyway, so this is very limited knowledge. But I think the primary difference, especially in PSR, because polity is such a huge part of GS. So the biggest challenge is then discerning what is GS and what is optional here. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is how academic PSIR can get, and how in PSIR your approach is more towards the core knowledge in terms of theories and thinkers and concepts, rather than in GS it's going to be more topical. So in GS we will discuss the farm laws, the pros, the cons, the content of the law, whereas in optional you will talk about the political economy perhaps that the farm laws represent. So I think just the perspective that is different, and in terms of UPSC, answer writing is a different ball game. GS may you will again perhaps write in points, etc. Optional may it's supposed to flow, as they call it. So one shifts to paragraphs, etc. So I think that would be the main difference. Yeah.
Okay. So after this whole aspect of, you know, writing tests and different subjects and the very extensive preparation for 1 year, there are definitely some low points, right? And this year the whole world was struggling with something called COVID-19, a pandemic situation. So on your low days, what was your pickup deal? How were you doing?
This is a very pertinent question, and I think every person has their own way of dealing with their low days. For me, I'm a very people's person generally. So, of course, I would firstly tell myself that, okay, you know what, this is a phase and it will end and you will do better, etc. But usually I need someone around me to reassure me. So I would just reach out to my parents and my younger brother, and they would mostly do the emotional labor of dealing with me when I'm feeling low. I was very blessed with friends. I would read a book. I enjoyed reading during preparation. I would watch a few movies, web series. So just to distract myself from the low as much as possible. A very dear family member got COVID while the exam was going on. I'm sure a lot of us faced this, but one part of it which would also give me some hope and strength was that the fact that I'm putting in so much effort will help in some way or the other. Maybe if not, if I can't clear the exam, fine. Perhaps it will help somewhere. So I try to detach myself a little bit also from the end result, and just like study a bit just because I really enjoy studying. So that also helped a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Talking about the end result here, if this was not the result, right? If not rank 70, then what was your plan after this?
So I had told myself I'll give 2 serious attempts before saying bye bye to the exam. This was my first serious attempt. So I would have given another attempt, but I would also explore other options. I think law I was very interested in. So I was very inclined towards law, and also journalism a little bit. But I think I would pursue law in my very.
Okay. So this was already there, when you chose your graduation in arts, right? This was
Yeah.
already still there. So acha, one of the options you
Ji.
tried and the rest. Okay, so the prelims form was filled and
Ji.
where you started preparing?
Absolutely. Wasn't able to prepare very well because of so much anxiety of the result, but yes, the form was filled. Yeah.
What about CSAT? That is also one part, kind of a neglected part. So how did you prepare for that?
Yeah, it's such a relief. I scored decently in CSAT because I was very worried. As a humanities graduate, etc., lost touch with math since when. I took it seriously, honestly speaking, because I knew that I don't want to fail in CSAT and have to spend another year. Lot of previous year papers from whenever it's been introduced till today. And I bought this book which SSC CGL aspirants use. I'm really forgetting the name of the book. तो मैंने उससे लॉजिकल रीजनिंग और मैथ थोड़ा बहुत किया था. इंग्लिश आई न्यू इज अ स्ट्रेंथ, सो आई डिडंट फोकस मच ऑन दैट. Yeah, that was it.
Okay. And now what about the preparation for the personality test, the last phase of the exam? Of course, your confidence and your exposure to public speaking was an asset. But in terms of content, how did you specifically prepare for the personality test?
It's interesting because as much as public speaking is an asset, it is also a bane. Because, at least I know myself, sometimes it's very, like I would just get carried away कि ठीक है मैं बोलती तो बहुत अच्छा हो जाएगा कुछ. But that's such a trap because I don't think personality is how you speak. I think it's what you speak, and of course how you present it is an important part of it. So I was very scared for the personality test, that I don't want to sound like a hollow person who only knows good English. So I worked really hard for it. Firstly, newspapers increased. I put in 2 newspapers, one newspaper especially for economics. And secondly, I became a lot more interactive. Because prelims and mains is far more individual, that way आप अकेले तैयारी कर सकते हैं अपने रूम में. But जब personality test की बात आई, I just started talking to a lot more people. Not just about current affairs and exam, but just in general. कुछ भी चल रहा हो आसपास. I started going out to whatever museums and other places just to become a person who does more than just read books in her room every day. So it was more of that, and obviously the DAF is prepared extremely well. So each word in the DAF, lot of mocks, must have given 8 to 9 mocks easily. So I think that was roughly it, yeah.
So how close do you think your mocks came to the actual interview which you had on the final day?
In terms of questioning, I would say not very close, because it was a little bit of a googly. My 40% or 50% of it, my interview was science and tech based.
Okay.
I was really stumped because I'm a humanities graduate, and all of my mocks would focus more on societal issues, contemporary issues, and all of that. But the honorable chairperson focused a lot on cryptocurrency and AI and machine learning, and
So that must have been his topic then.
yeah, perhaps. I think so. Or maybe to test something, I don't know. But so in terms of questions, I wouldn't say any mock came close, but what it did come close in was just replicating the environment, having senior officers to have a particular demeanor, to not show the panic on your face. In those ways, definitely mock interviews are very helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Now, in terms of summarizing all this, and you're about to take go into the next phase now of not being an aspirant but a civil servant. So, what do you think is your biggest takeaway, not academically but as a person, from this experience of preparing for this exam?
I think the single biggest takeaway for me, although there are many, is that uh, every time I thought that this is too big a challenge or that this I cannot do, I was somehow able to do. Perhaps not very well, or maybe not in the best fashion. So I think just the fact that you can never know yourself enough, and there is always something new to learn about yourself, and that yeah, like life can just really surprise you and take you for a positive ride. So I've had a very, of course, it's been sobering at places, and it's been there have been challenges, but by God's grace, since I've been successful, I look at the happier parts of it. And the biggest takeaway is that my own potential is something I don't know yet. So it's going to be a journey, perhaps untapping it as much as possible.
That's actually, that should have been an enlightenment. And I think it's also very promising for everything
True.
you do in future, right? You can
Yes.
always remind yourself to this moment that I did better than what
I
I
thought
thought
I
I
would.
could do,
Yes.
right? And for the sake of our aspirants, what would be the last few pointers which you would like to tell them that, okay, this is what should be done or this is what shouldn't be done?
I mean that there are enough videos talking about the exam and the subject, so I will not talk about that. Um, Firstly, I think just being true to oneself. We can perhaps lie to our parents and our everyone else that okay we're studying, but we know दिल ही में कि हम शायद नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं. तो खुद से सच बोलना. And second, I would say just taking care of yourself, because this can be so grueling and so lonely and so challenging. And आई थिंक इट्स वेरी टेम्पटिंग टू एक वो जो छवि बन गई है कि अच्छा 1 साल मेहनत की हो गया, मतलब सर्टनली दैट इज़ द एस्पिरेशन वन लुक्स फॉरवर्ड टू, बट आई थिंक ऑल्सो मेंटली प्रिपेयरिंग योर सेल्फ कि अगर नहीं भी हुआ या शायद अगर आपकी उम्मीदों से कम भी हो तो हाउ आर वी गोना डील विद इट. Keeping friends and family close, I think, is very important. A lot of people isolate themselves. I would definitely not suggest that. So yeah, just taking care of, I think, mental health and being as positive as possible is one thing which I would, yeah.
Okay. I think that is definitely a very bright note to end our discussion on. And I want to say this, Aloni, that you're very right when you say कि हाँ मैं अच्छा बोलती हूँ, आप बहुत अच्छा बोलती हैं. And it's not just your oration, which I want to point out, your content and everything that you shared with us. I think it's going to be very helpful for all
You're
our
very
aspirants.
kind. Thank you. You
And
made my
I
day.
personally really enjoyed this interaction
Thank
with
you. So did I. You made my day. Thank you so much.
So all the best in all your endeavors ahead. We wish to hear and read more about all the great things which you do. All the
Thank
best.
you, and thank you to the team of Vision for having me. You're doing a wonderful job, and I'm super grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saloni. Thank you.